There are very few sound effects that can rival the popularity of the Wilhelm Scream, but the Howie Scream is one of the candidates, appearing in movies like Face Off and The Basketball Diaries, TV shows like Dexter's Lab, and in games like Half-Life 2 and StarCraft. Just like the Wilhelm Scream, the Howie Scream was originally recorded for a specific movie. In 1978, sound editor Gordon Ecker was working on the film The Ninth Configuration, written and directed by the author of The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty, and which is the second installment of his Trilogy of Faith series, between The Exorcist and The Exorcist 3. In the movie, there's a bar fight scene between a gang of bikers and an ex-marine, with a couple of moments requiring prominent screams. So along with his team, he recorded several of them, and gave us the first ever use of the Howie Scream. We still don't know who actually did the scream, but what's interesting is that you can hear a very similar, albeit slightly more screechy version just moments before in the same scene, presumably done by the same voice actor. Not much really happened after the debut of the Howie Scream. The movie didn't do that well commercially, although Blatty did win a Golden Globe for his screenplay, and the Scream didn't necessarily stand out in the minds of audiences or sound editors. But in Ecker's team was a young, up-and-coming sound editor by the name of Lon Bender, and a few short years later, he teamed up with another sound editor called Wiley Stateman to found Soundelux, a company providing a variety of sound editing and effects-related services to the entertainment industry. Eventually, they realized that they can monetize the recordings they've done even further by releasing them in the form of a stock sound effects library, taking on the most popular brand at the time, Sound Ideas, and created the Hollywood Edge in 1988. Their first sound effects library, the Premiere Edition Volume 1, a 20 CD collection containing nearly 1,500 sound effects, was released in 1990 and became extremely popular, containing many of the sounds heard in media throughout the 90s and into the present day. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the Howie Scream is also in that library, marked as Man Gutren PE 134401. Though the full title appears to be Man, Gut-Wrenching Scream and Fall into Distance. The more screechy version never made it onto the library. This opened the floodgates, and the number of uses in media started to skyrocket, like in Natural Born Killers, and even as part of the theme tune for Real Monsters. But it was a scene near the climax of 1996's Broken Arrow, where Master Sergeant Kelly, played by NFL player turned actor Howie Long, is booted off a train to his death, that finally gave the Howie Scream its name. With so many uses starting to appear in the 90s, it's unclear why this one in particular was the one that seeped into popular culture. Perhaps it was how prominent and obstructed it was in the movie, or the fact that it was done by a character from an already known figure like Howie Long, as opposed to an unnamed guard like in Face Off. It is, however, also known by another name, the TIE Fighter Scream, due to its similarity with the sound those starships make in Star Wars films. Originally created by the person who also popularized the Wilhelm Scream, Ben Burtt. To create this sound, Burtt mixed the roar of an elephant with the sound of cars driving on wet pavement, but it's said that he was also inspired by German Stuka bombers and Soviet Katyusha rocket launchers from World War II, both of which made whooshing, siren-like sounds as part of their operation. And that's partly why I think the Howie Scream is so memorable. It's not the most realistic of screams, but its harmonically rich, guttural timbre sounds almost otherworldly and alien, if not plain terrifying, and definitely evokes an emotional reaction in the viewer. Plus, of course, it never seems to fit naturally into any movie, which is pretty funny. Anyway, Sound Deluxe, the company, became extremely successful in the 90s and 2000s, but in 2014 was bought by Sound Dogs, another company who had entered the space in the 1990s. Sound Dogs released a library called the Sound Deluxe Sound Effects Library, featuring 200,000 sounds that had been recorded by Sound Deluxe through the years. And on there were a couple of tracks that were variations on the Howie Scream. Both are preceded by some sort of whimpering sounds and followed by the sound of a fall, so it's very likely that these were recorded specifically with the glass smashing scene in mind. One, called Man Whimpering and Holding Back a Scream, he lets it go and screams, then falls over at tail. And another one called Male Strains Like in Pain and screams a very big scream like horrified and pained, then body fall, good. Which sounds suspiciously like the screechy version we heard in the 9th configuration, finally letting this version see the light of day. The Howie Scream may not be as old or as widespread as its cousin the Wilhelm Scream, but it nevertheless holds a significant place in pop culture, having been featured in a whole host of significant movies, TV shows and games, and also has its diehard fans too. So if you prefer the Howie Scream to the Wilhelm, let me know down in the comments. You should go here to watch some of our other videos, and you can support us on Patreon or buy me a coffee, or you can join our Discord community. Links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Mixed Signals. Bye bye.